Hi everyone, my name is Tess, and this summer I interned with Fair Start. For my research, I looked at gleaning and what motivates people to do it. So I'll get right into it with my background. Food insecurity and food waste are two closely intertwined and prominent issues across the United States. A partial solution to these problems is gleaning, or harvesting produce that would otherwise be wasted and giving it to those in need. However, gleaning is not yet a widely implemented practice. So, for my research, I aim to better understand what motivates different groups to participate in gleaning in hopes to expand gleaning practices across the US. So, for my research question, I wanted to see what motivates farmers, food security operations, and volunteers to participate in gleaning. Going into my internship, as I said, I interned with Fair Start as a member of their food security team. And through my internship, I led gleaning trips and assisted with the mobile community market truck. So, a little more on these gleaning trips. I would lead these trips twice a week, and they would last around 2 hours. And I would meet a group of volunteers out at the different farms that Fair Start partners with, and we would harvest any extra produce that farmers didn't want or had too much of. So, I included a picture here of me at one of the gleaning trips. This is at Sound Sustainable Farm, just outside of Seattle. This was after the gleaning trip, so you can see all of the zucchini we've loaded up into the truck, and we were able to get 505.5 pounds total of zucchini, which was crazy, very backbreaking work to get into the back of the truck. Um, but yeah, after we loaded up the truck, we would take it back to Fair Start, and then we would distribute it out to the different operations that Fair Start has. Most of the produce from these gleaning trips went to supporting the mobile community market truck. So about 22% of the produce used in the mobile community market truck was directly from these gleaning trips. Going more into my methods, to answer my research question, I interviewed 3 farmers and I interviewed 6 members of food security operations around Seattle. So food security operations are other organizations similar to Fair Start that use gleaning to support their mission. I also surveyed gleaning volunteers via an online survey and received 30 responses. So getting into my results, farmers were motivated to participate in gleaning because it reduces food waste, it supports community, and networking. So I included a quote here from one of my interviews with Rebecca from Oxbow Farms. She says, "Gleaning builds connection and solidarity and makes our own farm a better and stronger part of the community." Moving on to food security operators, these organizations were motivated to glean because it supports the groups that they serve, and it's also able to stretch their budget. So because gleaning is essentially free, food security operations are able to save a little bit of money this way, and then use this money to better support the groups that they serve. I've included a quote here from Nathan, who works at Fair Start, saying that gleaning is able to get high quality produce, whole foods, to the children and communities that are getting the least amount of it naturally. Nathan works in the community meals program at Fair Start. And so in this quote, he's referring to using glean food to be incorporated into community meals that are then sent out to lower income elementary schools across Seattle. I've also included an image here of the mobile community market truck as another way that gleaning can support food security operations. So going a little bit more into the mobile community market truck, as you can see, it basically is a food truck, but it's filled with bins of fresh produce. And so how this would work is that Fair Start partners with different facilities. So these facilities are low-income housing, colleges, healthcare facilities. We would hand them out some vouchers that they could then give to their clients. And then their clients can come to our mobile community market truck and get up to $50 worth of fresh produce. And so this was just another way that gleaning can help address issues of food insecurity in the community. Moving on to volunteer motivators, volunteers participate in gleaning trips because it supports those in need and it also builds community. So during my leading of gleaning trips, I found that a lot of the volunteers were part of bigger organizations. So we had a DoorDash group, a Microsoft group, a Google group, and basically these big companies would send about 20 of their employees out to participate in gleaning trips as a way of teamwork building opportunities. So with all that, my broader implications, from my results, I found that community was a motivator across all groups. And this is important to know because community has so many positive outcomes on a group, some of which I have highlighted here in the table. So that is sense of purpose, gain knowledge, sense of belonging, networking, and positive mental health. Psychologist Mark Leary even goes as far as to say that the concept of belonging to a community is not just a basic human desire, but a fundamental need. And he even compares this need of belonging to a community as being on the same level as the need for food and water. Also, volunteer work and physical activity can generate feelings of self-worth, self-efficacy, and other aspects of positive mental health. Gleaning is both volunteer work and physical activity, so it can contribute to all three of these things as well. I've included a pie chart here from my volunteer surveys when asked how often they gain or exchange knowledge with other volunteers. And as you can see from the figure, over half of them responded that they frequently or very frequently gain and exchange knowledge with other volunteers during these gleaning trips. And gaining knowledge is one of the many benefits that comes from community that I've highlighted in the table above. So with all of that, here are some of my recommendations. I recommend that food security operators should be the one promoting gleaning in its relation to community, to farmers and volunteers, because farmers and volunteers are the ones who will be receiving the main positive outcomes from being a part of community. Some ways that they can do this, one example would be updating gleaning promotion flyers that are sent out to volunteers to be more centered around these community aspects that were discussed above. With more participation from volunteers and farmers, gleaning could become more widely implemented and then overall address the root issue of food insecurity and food waste in the community. I would like to thank my faculty advisor, Tyler Watson, my site supervisor, Emily Penna, Libby and Sophia, my coworkers at Fair Start, and my family for their support. Thank you.